Welcome to Escapes. I'm Erika and I am thrilled to invite you on this empowering journey. Join me as we explore the art of escaping self-doubt, the constraints of the 9-to-5 grind, the false realities that hold us back. We'll empower you to embrace entrepreneurship, motherhood, and co-working with your partner, and to boldly step into leadership roles that were once thought unattainable. Escapes is more than a podcast. It's a community of resilient women and men who are rewriting their stories, chasing their dreams, and smashing through glass ceilings. Together, we'll share stories of triumph, strategies for success, discuss our failures, and use insights from remarkable individuals who have paved their own paths to greatness. So join me, Erika Hemphill, as we unlock the doors to your unlimited potential. It's time to escape, empower, and embrace. Oh, and elevate. Your adventure begins now. Welcome to another episode of Escapes, and it has been a crazy ride over the last year, and I thought a good place for us to start first of the year, looking back on some things that happened over the year. And I think one of the biggest things that we can take away was Cabin Wars. It's been a year now, and so I have my husband here with me, and I think we're just going to dive into how we're feeling a year later. Our season is coming. We haven't had like a specific date given to us yet, but the show has been bought by HGTV, which is now bigger than what we thought it was going to be. And so let's just dive into it.
Did we record the whole month of January last year, or was it February?
It was February. January was like when we were wrapping up the interview process.
We got to see the cabin for the first time, I think, around this time last year.
A photo on my Facebook popped up, and it was the day that me and Mom were in the cabin looking at it for the first time.
I got it.
Which was very interesting. The yellow and the bright blue.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out the layout and come up with ideas. I remember, a lot of times you didn't agree with me and I didn't agree with you.
That's not surprising.
I hope they get a little bit of that on TV. I don't know.
I feel like I'm a lot more. Whenever we started that, I was very camera shy. I do not like to put myself out there on video. And now, a year later, I think Cabin Wars helped me do that to a certain extent. But I feel like if we were to re-record it now, I would be completely different.
How would you be different though? Like better different, or like what do you mean?
No, definitely better different. Probably allowing people to get in more to what I actually do every day. I think as we walk through this episode, I think we're going to talk about some of those things. But for me, there's always been, and probably always will be, questions on what role do I partake in whenever we're doing designs for our projects and whenever we're constructing. And so with Cabin Wars, we didn't change that process in our everyday life. We ran the cabin just like we would run a regular project.
So one thing a lot of people don't know was Cabin Wars was self-filmed a lot. We had film days where the film crew was out there, and those were scheduled, and they had scheduled topics and things for us to talk about and do on those days. But in order to capture our entire story, we had to self-record with our GoPro. And I would think, looking back, if I was to do it again, I would have recorded with the GoPro more. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the reserve was sometimes. It was like, sometimes we would maybe have a planning discussion that me and you didn't agree with something. And I think we got some of that on camera, but maybe we should have gotten more of that on camera. Like if I was to do it again, I would have tried to do a better job of just more content, more backstory, because let's face it, now we've had the time. Season 1 has came out. All the episodes are done. It's over. Now you have a clearer picture of what the show looked like. Man, I get a little bit nervous wondering, like, man, did I create a good enough story like he did, or like this contestant
I think
did?
if I look back at it, we did more of the story based on the construction part of it. We brought our community and people into that, the transformation of the cabin itself. We did not tell the story of Erika and Garland.
I felt like that wasn't what the show was about. But now looking back, that is what season 1
Right.
did.
There was a day that we were like what, a week or we were a week to 2 weeks away from being done, like dead middle of the project, and we had another house that we got an inspection on a culvert that was damaged, and we literally found out that we were going to have to go
Rip the
w-
driveway up.
we had to go and rip a client's driveway up and redo the culvert and re-pour the concrete, and it was thousands of dollars that our business lost. I don't really think that was something that we put on camera, and that would have been something that would have been excellent
Well, I
for the
think that
camera.
we were trying to keep
Focus on the
our,
cabin.
I don't want to say keep it completely separate, but I think that the part that we probably didn't discuss enough is that all of the contestants that were in Cabin Wars, they were there and they were 100% committed to just the cabin. They left their jobs from up north and came down here. They came from all over the country and they were here, living here, and only doing the cabin. The part that we might or might not have given enough detail on is that we were here. So our business is here. Our life is here. Our kids are here. Their afternoon activities are still here. So while we were trying to do Cabin Wars in 30 days, we also still had our regular construction projects that were going on that we couldn't just wipe our hands of and not
We did
deal
a
with.
we did a final walkthrough on a custom home olive branch job, and that was in the middle of the cabin too. So you can imagine we're trying to do this TV show and we're going and dealing with blue tape at a job that we had just spent the last 9 months building this family their custom home. So we had mixed priorities. And I agree. Like if we were to do it again, we probably would have shown that a lot more. That would have added to the quality of our story. And I don't know, just seeing the show, that's something that we
And
learned.
I think that would have explained um going into it, or even I guess like the the story behind why you were there, why I was not. I was coming in and checking in the mornings, maybe sometimes at lunch, and then in the evening. And then we were tag teaming kids in the afternoon. I think there was some hostility there between contestants on what that looked like, and why it looked like that.
Right. Both of our contestants that we were going up against were what, 20 feet apart from us.
Yeah, right next
Our
door.
cabin was in the middle. It was three cabins on the lake right next to each other. So you knew when you showed up who was there. It was very obvious who was working and who wasn't. And as far as who was present. And like you said, they tended to always be there. Um,
But we
so
ran it like a job site.
yeah, and they looked at it like sometimes I would, yeah, it was just like a job site. I might have met the painters there in the morning and then I left and went and worked on other jobs.
So I guess that's one thing that, if we're talking about telling more of our authentic story, we should tell listeners now what our game plan was coming from the very beginning. When we were chosen for the show, we initially sat down and said, okay, this is for our community. We live here, we breathe here, we eat here, we invest here, we build houses here. So for me, it was about getting all of our subcontractors and our vendors the opportunity to partake in something that I was very passionate about. Yogi Bear was a place I used to go to as a kid. So I wanted to see the evolution of what that was going to look like, but I had to get buy-in from my team. So when we got the buy-in, it was never that Garland was going to be swinging a hammer for 30 days. That was never the scenario. It was always going to be that we were bringing in our guys and they donated their time. And I
Yeah,
I
a
am
lot of them.
hopeful that through all the editing that they get that, you
Yeah,
know,
right. I hope they all get a little bit of camera time to show.
how invested in our community they are.
Right. That was one thing that watching season one, I didn't see a lot. Like our style of getting the job done was different, but in season one, all three contestants you never saw a third party laborer in the show. Hopefully some of ours get in the show, but that's the uncontrollable that is kind of like I don't want to say that you're nervous about because it is what it is at this point, but
Yes, a year later, we have no
yeah, like
no
we
choice in the
have
matter.
I know what was filmed. I have no idea what is going to go on TV. So
Are you nervous about all the funny things that happen in the show? And you cannot give away anything, but there are certain things that I can remember that happen that we either did lives or reels or Facebook time, and I just laughed and like,
there's one thing that I hated. Like we were doing a demo and I fell off a ladder and I know that it was not on camera. Well, for whatever reason, camera was set up somewhere else. But like I mean, th- you could laugh at it now. Like it
I'm
hurt.
only laughing because you're smiling right now
Yeah, yeah,
telling this
yeah.
story. It
No,
wasn't
no.
funny whenever you
No,
called me and
like
told me you did it.
yeah, I was trying to get a ceiling fan down, and this cabin, the mounting bracket for the ceiling fan actually, the whole mounting bracket came out of the ceiling, and the fan came down when I pulled on it, and I went down with the fan on top of the fan, toppling over the ladder, cut my hand. Like none of that, I think, was on camera.
No, it wasn't. But when I showed up that afternoon, our subcontractors were like, Miss Erica, Mr. G fell.
Right, the guys that were helping with the demo, they saw it, and I wish I had it on camera because they were very worried. Like they
Yes.
were checking on me, like, was I okay? And once I kind of like gave them the thumbs up and stood up and I was like, oh, I'm alive, they busted out laughing. They held their laugh until after they knew I was okay. So
Do you remember that it was like a monsoon whenever we first started? It was
the
like it had been
demo day,
beautiful for so long. And then I want to say like the day before demo day, it
we
was like
just
monsoon.
and we just instead of putting stuff in the dumpster on demo day, we just threw it all out in the yard in between the cabin and the lake. Yeah, it was um
What was something that you learned from Cabin?
one thing that surprised me from Cabin Wars was how interested our community is to see what we do and how a project transforms. It's a passion of ours. I think, like you mentioned earlier, like taking something that's outdated, turn it into something new and fresh. Like we're we're both equally passionate about that. So it definitely like when I say what was a success about Cabin Wars, and I think it's gonna show on TV for sure, is how passionate we are about making that change. And look, we did it. We made a wonderfully designed cabin. Like, I mean, that's not a secret. Like
No,
the design was extremely unique, extremely unique. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. Like it wasn't copied from anybody. Some of the stuff that we did in there was stuff that we never would do in a custom home.
because we got to design it ourselves.
Right. We had that creative freedom and that was awesome, you know. So I I don't know. What I would say what are you nervous about? As I know you're nervous whether you want to admit it or not. I watched all of season 1 of Cabin Wars. I plan on like season 2 aired yesterday or the day before and I'm going to watch it probably this weekend. You haven't watched any of it.
I wouldn't say I haven't watched any of it. I haven't sat down and watched them with you. I have watched them like in bits and pieces. I think for me, um, what am I nervous about?
Why have you
So
not watched them? Or why were you not like I watched all 6 episodes within 24 hours of when they came out on
you
season
binge
1.
watched. That's what you did. I know whenever you watched it. Um, it's not that I'm not interested. I think because we lived it and we were there and I saw the transformation of them and I was there for every walkthrough and went through them and I've seen them. Um, I don't know.
I was highly interested in how like you said, I was there too. I seen them and I knew what they were going to look like and I met the contestants and knew their personalities. Um but I was highly interested in how the show would utilize the content that they were provided. I was highly interested in like the quality. Like, what did the GoPro video look like? Like, to be honest, in a lot of cases, if you didn't know that they were videoing themselves with a GoPro,
You wouldn't know.
you wouldn't know. The quality was really good. So I was highly interested in what was included, what wasn't included, because I wanted to kind of shape in my mind what was mine going to look like. And
So that's probably why I haven't watched it. If I analyze it as you're talking, I'm not trying to compare what they did or didn't include in the other seasons on what and how they're going to do ours. If I had to give any little like dangle of fruit for our episode, I think that it is probably the most intriguing to see how they're going to edit it because all three of us are very different. All three of us worked completely different. And we all three had completely different design ideas on our three cabins. And I'm trying not to watch it because I do have some anxiety about what the show looks like. So for me, it's about if I don't watch it now, once mine comes out, I probably will watch them. We're already getting messages if we're going to have
watch part.
a watch party. I don't know if I can do that.
It's crazy to think like, look, whenever we were doing it, I was thinking the same thing. Oh, this will be so exciting, a watch party. That would be so cool. Now that makes me nervous. I agree. I couldn't imagine being at a public place and I'm watching it for the first time. Like they might have something that is embarrassing. I don't know. I have no idea how it's going to be
Well, and it's
portrayed.
hard for me too because we lived this a year ago.
I do think we need to have a watch party. And probably when that episode is over, maybe we could spend 5 minutes explaining, oh, that was disappointing to us that it came out like that because wow, I'm impressed with how that came out.
So I can tell you that there will be that. There will be that on my end through my social
We're gonna
media
go
accounts.
live.
We're going to go live after every episode drops. There will be
On ENG's Facebook
on
page,
ENG's Facebook page. Just a like review,
a commentary.
kind
of like at the end of
because there might be content that's not there, or there might be explanation that's needed for what we did or why we decided, or I might want to talk about what color the tile is or why we chose that tile or where we got the tile from. Like if there was any reasons that the
like me and
editing had to be done where they couldn't showcase the vendors' names or whoever, I want to make sure that those subcontractors and vendors are given their due on what they did, the time that they donated, what they donated, and why we chose to design it the way we did.
Yeah, it was really impressive. I think one of the most shocking things from doing it was the amount of people that were interested in. So there's extreme interest.
Thousands and thousands of people. And then we had votes that were coming in nationwide because we have a very large ecosystem that was like watching and supporting and wanting to see what was going on. So that brings me back to the question that you asked. What am I anxious or nervous about? Number one, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I want to make sure that whatever I portrayed during filming represents my brand. So I was very conscious of that during the whole process. I want to make sure that my subcontractors and my vendors that donated time and donated items to the cabin are represented well. And then also, I have a very dominant personality. And so I am concerned that TV might portray that as something that it might not be. I might just be a very strong, independent, confident woman that is okay with leading very directly.
Yeah. I mean, I think you mentioned it at the end of the show was, they were asking us what our takeaways were. And I think you had realized through the show that you were more comfortable accepting what your role was as far as being the facilitator or the leader or the decision maker. Ultimately, no, you didn't swing a hammer.
Correct.
No.
Not one time. So just to be clear, that was never my expectation to go out there and do anything like that.
Right. I think the show thought that Erica might be helping with demo, and I I don't remember you putting any gloves on.
No, I think I showed up that morning and was there supportive. I know I prayed with my guys, with Manuel and them, and then they got to work. And then an hour or two later, I was just walking through just like we would do on a normal job site to make sure that everything that we needed to be demoed or taken care of was done and ready to go for the next step.
I think some of what's uncomfortable, and maybe more you, but it's still uncomfortable, is that me and you, like, I'm used to having control. Like, I know who's going to be on a job site. I control who's going to be there. I control a lot of things in my day to day work. And with the filming, I could control what was filmed, but the anxiety now is that we have zero control over what gets put on TV. I would say that's probably the biggest factor. Like,
Well, everybody that knows me knows that I have a control issue. So that's not anything new to anybody that follows me, listens to me. I do. I like to know, and I'm very conscious of the things that, and look, when we started this, the filming crew and Ryan and all of them were very transparent on that. This is a positive atmosphere. And I just hope and pray that that's the same continued thing that they do.
and I can tell from watching season one that they did that. Everything was positive for
And so
everybody.
for me, it's just more about keeping the little details inside because now it's been a year. And since Cabin Wars has been like pushing content really hard again for these episodes, we have more people that are messaging us and stopping us and asking us, when's y'all season? Are y'all gonna have a watch party? Or
We don't know. We don't even know when
I
our
don't
season's
know when
coming
our
out.
when our season is coming, but we are next. And so for me, I think that it was such an amazing experience, no matter what. And I am so excited for my community. What Cabin Wars and Ryan Inc. and their investors have done for this piece of property has been transforming. Even now, driving through there, it wasn't just our cabins that got done. They have done huge amounts of work out there and invested a lot of money to bring this property to a new transformation in a
They
new
elevated
place.
it.
That's right. They elevated what it looks like. And I am so excited for that. And so I'm very thankful and humble that they they did this. No matter if they did it on TV or if they did it without the TV show, it was still being done. And it's a part of our community. And I love that transformation. I can't wait to see what's next out there because there's still more cabins to be done.
Right, right. I don't know. And in my head as you were just talking, I was thinking, would we ever go stay out there? Like, I know when we finished it, I think we were just like, nobody can comprehend the amount of hours that were spent out there. Like, it's almost to the point of like you wanted to get away. Like, I'm proud of it, but I don't know. Like, I'd be interested in driving through there again. Like, I haven't been through there since it finished. Like, go see. I see what's been updated on their social media, but yeah, I haven't actually driven through there to see what it looks like
Well,
now.
Emmerich and them messaged me and said that they're coming down for like spring break and they're staying in theirs. And she's like, y'all have to come out and we can sit out on the back patios. And so I'm not opposed to staying. I think that my mom just went. My mom went a month ago and
Stayed in a
stayed at the
camper.
Boulder.
Oh, the
So that
Boulder.
season already went through too. And they loved it. So again, I think that the transformation for the cabins are just beautiful. I was very proud of what we did with the cabin and our design.
Well,
And
like you say, they elevated it. Like, I know they put pickleball courts in. I know they've been bragging that they've got heated pools. Like, in all reality, Um, we don't do camping. We do beach vacations and we like all inclusives and stuff. So really, it's not a knock on the campground. It's just not really what we do. But they've elevated the campground enough that I could see spending the night and a day there, and our kids having something to do and having making some memories and having fun. So
our
yeah,
kids remember the cabin. I think the hardest part for me about the cabin was that the day of the reveal, I was not there.
right. That was tough. It was one of the most rewarding days of the entire project because it was done. So our daughter had a dance competition, what, in Houston? Right. And so there
At the
was,
time, she was 7.
Yeah, and there was nobody else to bring her. That's the role that you feel that's something that you and her do together. You do her hair, you do her makeup. Nobody else does it. So, and look, and that's our priorities in life is our kids. So, like as much as we enjoyed the show, the priority was for you to be with her at that point. If my son had a baseball tournament in Houston, you would have been at the cabin by yourself, and I'd have been in there. So
That was a hard thing for me because
you put in a lot of work. Yeah. And I think it's gonna
and
be
then seeing our community coming through and like you doing lives with me and seeing all the people that were there and saying how beautiful it was and not being able to like truly embrace that, but then also being in Houston and knowing that you are quite capable of doing that by yourself and representing us and our brand and our cabin. But then also Arbery, when we were in Houston, she was telling all of her friends while she was there, she's like, my daddy's showing everybody the cabin because she had been to the cabin like multiple
yeah,
times to see what we had been doing.
she was interested in it. She's always more interested than Kipton, I would say.
So it was, it's almost like bittersweet that
I
it's
would,
been a year.
took the word out of my mouth. It's kind of bittersweet that you weren't there. Um, I don't know. A lot of so before we actually finished, there was talk of maybe they would do a championship round or maybe maybe the winners would get together and do another set of cabins. And I think one thing that everybody realized, all the contestants, was we poured our hearts and souls and really took a month of our life and just put everything that we could on hold and like lived for the cabin. I don't think you could find 5 contestants to go back and do it again. And that's not to say that in a negative way towards Cabin Wars. That's to explain how much heart and soul we
The
poured.
grind was crazy. Like when you think 30 days, like if you don't do this, if you're not in construction, and I think even some of the contestants didn't realize what that was going to do to them, like play a toll on their family time, on their life, on their businesses. That was a insanely short amount of time. Like
To take something and gut it to the studs and move and
refurbish the
have it
whole thing.
and not just have it done, have it furnished.
Yeah.
Yeah, TVs on the wall, couches in the living room, like, that's crazy.
It
I can
just so I
remember.
think like with saying that, like it's not that nobody would do it. It was just that the time constraint was just so unbelievable.
Right, and I'm glad that we brought that up because some people might think, "Oh, maybe they took 60 days and
No.
the TV show just lied and said it
No.
was 30." No, it
No.
literally was 30 days.
It was 30 days and it was like day 1 and the clock started ticking and it was insane.
Yeah, there wasn't any hidden time. Like literally, it did start and it did finish in 30 days.
Yeah. Well, I think that to wrap this up on Cabin Wars is that it's been a year. I am excited about our season coming. There's obviously some nerves that come with that because you want to represent and we want to represent our community well. And I know that we did that. No matter what, we did that. And it was such a cool experience. And I can't
We
wait to see what happens.
we will consider a watch party whenever we find out, at least the first episode, but we'll definitely commit to going live after each episode
Yeah.
airs so that we can talk about the behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. Dun, dun, dun.
Just like that. Just like that. I'll start it off though. It'll be behind the scenes. Dun dun dun.
Oh my gosh. So be ready if you're listening to us on our podcast. We're excited. We're going to probably start ramping up some marketing stuff to get ready for when our season airs. But maybe we'll throw out some like good old memories and lives on our Facebook page just to remind everybody what it was like.
Yeah, yeah. As they pop up, we'll share them.
Sure thing. So thanks for coming in this morning and walking down memory lane with me.
Yes, ma'am.
It's always fun. So, well, we'll take that as a wrap for today. And let's remember that sometimes walking down memory lane is exactly what we need to elevate us to the next step or into the next journey or chapter and whatever you might be doing.